Most people think winter just means bundling up or dealing with slippery roads. But there's something bigger you need to know. FEMA, the agency behind America's disaster response, recently refreshed its winter readiness list, and it's not filled with fancy tech or expensive gear. Instead, it's simple, practical items that anyone can get, and they could be the difference between staying safe or freezing when the grid fails. We've already seen what happens when extreme cold overwhelms power systems. Texas, the Midwest, families stuck for days without heat, forced to improvise just to survive. That's why FEMA quietly highlights these essentials every year. They're low-cost, effective, and often overlooked. So today, I'm breaking down 9 specific items FEMA recommends that can keep your home warm, your family protected, and your mind at ease during the coldest nights ahead. 9. Personal heat on demand. When the lights go out and the temperature nosedives, the most dangerous mistake is thinking you need to heat the whole house. That's not survival, it's wasted energy. What you really need is targeted warmth, and that's where portable, battery-powered heat sources come in. Think heated vests, rechargeable hand warmers, or small heated blankets powered by tool batteries. These aren't futuristic gimmicks. They're practical tools that give you control over your body's core temperature when the grid is gone. Here's why this matters. Hypothermia doesn't arrive like a storm, it sneaks in quietly. Your body loses heat degree by degree, and by the time you notice the chill deep in your bones, you're already in danger. But a small heated vest or hand warmer pressed against your chest, tucked under your blanket, or slipped into your socks gives you an immediate layer of defense. It doesn't need to warm the room, it just needs to stabilize you. The beauty of these devices is scalability. A single charged battery pack might run a hand warmer for hours, which is enough to keep one person safe through the coldest stretch of night. Families can rotate power sources, share devices, and stretch every watt of stored energy into survival. It's not about comfort, it's about buying time until the grid is restored or outside help arrives. Experts are clear, these tools won't cook your dinner or heat an entire cabin, but they will maintain your body's core. And in a blackout, that's the difference between shivering through the night and staying functional. Preppers who stockpile extra battery packs and keep them charged know this. You don't need to fight the cold air filling the house. You need to fight the cold inside your bloodstream. That's what these portable heaters do. They keep the warmth where it counts most. 8. Fortress blankets. When your home loses power in a deep freeze, it stops feeling like shelter and starts feeling like a stone cave. Cold air creeps through walls, floors, and ceilings, and every hour without heat makes the space more hostile. In that situation, blankets aren't just comfort items, they're armor. But not all blankets are equal. Thin fleece throws may look cozy, but when the mercury drops, they bleed heat away. What you need is density. Heavy wool, thick synthetics, or layered quilts that can trap warmth the way a fortress traps its defenders. Imagine this, the thermostat cuts out at 1 a.m. and by sunrise the indoor temperature has dropped 20 degrees. Without insulation, your body begins losing energy fast. But wrapped in a thick wool blanket, the physics change. Wool fibers capture pockets of warm air, recycling your body heat instead of letting it vanish. Unlike flimsy fabrics, good wool even insulates when damp, giving you an edge in unpredictable conditions. FEMA itself highlights blankets as a cold weather essential, not as luxury, but as life-saving equipment. There's also a versatility factor. Heavy blankets can do more than keep you warm in bed. They can double as ground padding to block cold rising from floors, work as emergency curtains over windows, or serve as makeshift shelter walls if you need to hunker down in one room. They're durable, reusable, and simple to maintain, which is why our grandparents relied on them long before central heating became normal. The invisible danger here is subtle. Cold exposure doesn't knock on your door, it drains you slowly. Fatigue, confusion, and slowed reaction time set in when your core temperature dips even slightly. For children, the elderly, or anyone sick, that decline can turn fatal. A heavy-duty blanket acts as a silent defender, holding the line against the cold until either rescue comes or the sun rises again. If you're building a serious cold weather kit, don't settle for softness. Invest in blankets that carry weight, density, and resilience. That's not comfort, it's survival. 7. Sealed windows, safe warmth. Most people underestimate just how much heat their windows steal in the winter. Glass, for all its convenience, is a terrible insulator. The moment the power grid shuts down, those panes become highways for warmth to leak out, turning your home into a freezer from the inside. But there's a fix, and it doesn't require high-end gadgets. Simple insulated covers, thick fabric, quilts, cardboard, or even layered newspaper can transform fragile glass into a barrier that holds back the cold. Old-school wisdom proves this. Our grandparents often hung heavy curtains, nailed quilts around frames, or even taped newspapers against the glass. It wasn't decoration, it was survival. By layering material tightly against the window, they created a buffer zone of trapped air that cut off drafts and slowed heat loss. Modern science backs it up. The U.S. Department of Energy reports that insulated window coverings can cut heat loss by nearly half. That's not comfort. It's efficiency that can save lives during an extended blackout. The hidden danger with windows is that you don't notice the cold slipping through at first. It's gradual, invisible. Your living room feels just a bit chilly, but minute by minute your core temperature drops as warmth bleeds into the night air. Without realizing it, you're slipping toward hypothermia. But when windows are sealed, you immediately change the game. Families that blocked their glass with blankets or reflective panels during power outages consistently reported warmer indoor temps and less strain on their bodies. Think of insulated window covers as invisible shields. They don't make noise, they don't require batteries, and they don't break down. But they can hold back a lethal chill that would otherwise creep into your home unchecked. Prepping your windows before winter storms isn't paranoia, it's common sense. Because when the blackout hits, you don't want to realize too late that your biggest vulnerability wasn't the walls or the roof, but the glass you forgot to cover. 6. Life-saving flame heaters. Cold doesn't rush in like a storm, it creeps in. It numbs your fingers first, then your toes, and finally crawls into your chest. When the furnace is silent and the power grid has gone dark, that creeping cold isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. That's why fuel-powered radiant heaters deserve a place in every serious winter preparedness plan. These compact units run on propane or kerosene, sending out waves of heat that don't just warm the air, they warm you. Unlike electric space heaters that die with the first blackout, these devices run independently. They use radiant ceramic plates, catalytic elements, or small fans to push warmth directly into the space around you. The heat feels different. It's immediate, direct, and personal, like standing near a campfire on a frozen night. FEMA shelters rely on these very tools during emergencies for one simple reason. They keep working when nothing else does. Of course, fuel comes with responsibility. Ventilation is essential, placement matters, and using heaters with oxygen sensors and tip-over shutoffs isn't optional. It's survival. The Consumer Product Safety Commission reminds us that mistakes here don't lead to inconvenience, they lead to tragedy. But when used properly, these heaters give you back something priceless in a blackout: control over your body's temperature. Picture yourself after a long day in freezing silence. You turn on the radiant heater, and within minutes your chest no longer aches from the cold. Joints relax, breath steadies, and hope returns. That small flame doesn't just change the temperature, it changes your state of mind. Stock fuel wisely, learn safe operation, and keep a backup source ready. Because when the cold is relentless, radiant heat is more than comfort. It's the flame that holds despair at bay. 5. Long-life meals that never fail. When shelves are stripped bare and grocery deliveries stall, hunger doesn't wait politely. It weakens you hour by hour. That's why shelf-stable emergency meals aren't just nice to have, they're as essential as water. FEMA lists non-perishable food as a critical supply for cold weather emergencies, and for good reason. Without fuel for your body, you can't think, move, or stay warm. But here's the difference between casual stocking and real preparedness. Not all food holds up under disaster conditions. Crackers and snack packs won't keep you steady for days. What you need are nutrient-dense, calorie-rich packs designed for longevity, freeze-dried meals, MRE-style kits, retort pouches of protein, and ration bars built for survival. Some of these packs last 10, 15, even 25 years if stored properly. That means once you set them aside, they're insurance you don't have to constantly rotate. The beauty lies in their simplicity. Most require only water, hot or cold, to become edible. No stove, no power, no complicated cooking. In the middle of a storm, that simplicity is gold. Families who had these meals during recent disasters described them as lifelines, while neighbors without supplies scrambled to find anything edible. The hidden danger of hunger is subtle. It doesn't scream at you. It fogs your brain, saps your muscles, and makes small tasks feel impossible. But the moment you open a pouch, stir in water, and eat, your body regains strength. Energy returns, anxiety drops, and suddenly survival feels manageable again. When building your kit, think variety: soups, grains, proteins, even compact ration bars for grab and go. Split storage between your home, car, and go bag so you're never caught empty-handed. This isn't luxury food. It's quiet, durable insurance against the fragility of modern supply chains. Because in the darkest nights, it's not gourmet meals that matter, it's reliable calories that keep you alive. 4. The glow that guides you. There's something eerie about a blackout in the dead of winter. The silence, the cold, and then the darkness. Flashlights run out of batteries. Phones dim and die. That's when an old tool your grandparents swore by suddenly becomes priceless: the kerosene lamp. Unlike fragile modern gadgets, these lamps burn slow, steady, and strong. Fill the reservoir, strike a match, and you get hours of warm, steady light. No charging cables, no apps, no lithium. Just a flame you can count on. That glow isn't just about visibility, it's about reassurance. In a freezing house where every sound feels sharper, the steady yellow flame is grounding. It tells your family you're not in the dark. And it does more than light. A kerosene lamp gives off a whisper of heat, barely noticeable at first, but in a blackout, even that small rise matters. People in historic blackouts often cooked simple meals or boiled water on top of these lamps. Others used mirrors to reflect the glow, multiplying the effect and making one flame light an entire room. The invisible danger in a blackout is that you rarely notice how quickly your light sources vanish. A dead flashlight or drained phone isn't just inconvenient, it's disorienting. Fear grows faster in total darkness. But the kerosene lamp keeps burning, steady as ever. That constancy is why it's still a prepper essential, even in the digital age. Yes, you need to handle it safely: ventilation, stable placement, fuel stored properly. But those small cautions are nothing compared to the security it provides. When the house is cold, the food is rationed, and the grid is silent, that steady flame doesn't just brighten a room, it restores a sense of control. It's proof that even when modern systems collapse, simple, time-tested tools still work. One match, one lamp, and suddenly the night feels survivable again. 3. The fire that travels with you. When the grid collapses, your kitchen transforms into a museum of useless appliances. Microwaves become silent boxes, stovetops sit lifeless, and ovens turn into cold storage. The food is there: cans, grains, frozen meals thawing by the hour. But without heat, it may as well be locked away. That's when the multi-fuel camping stove steps in, not as a luxury, but as the bridge between having supplies and being able to use them. Unlike electric cooktops or even many gas stoves that rely on electric ignition, the multi-fuel stove runs on whatever you can feed it. Propane, kerosene, white gas, alcohol, some even burn wood in a pinch. This flexibility makes it the unsung hero of cold weather prepping. You can set it up on a balcony, porch, or ventilated garage, strike a match, and within minutes, you're boiling water for coffee or warming a pot of soup. It's more than calories, it's morale. The psychological power of a hot meal when your house feels like a freezer cannot be overstated. Designed originally for hikers and mountaineers, these stoves are compact, portable, and tough. They thrive in conditions far harsher than your living room in a blackout, which is why they adapt so well to emergencies. You don't have to be outdoorsy to use one. If you can light a match, you can cook. That reliability, paired with portability, is why FEMA highlights cooking alternatives as a preparedness must. The invisible threat is that hunger doesn't strike suddenly. It creeps up. Energy fades, hands shake, decisions become foggy. By the time you realize you can't prepare food, you may already be too drained to do anything about it. A stove that ignores the grid solves that before it starts. With one small flame, you reclaim not only sustenance but dignity, the act of sitting down to a warm meal even as the storm rages outside. That's survival disguised as dinner. 2. Bottled heat that lasts. In winter blackouts, warmth isn't just about the air around you. It's about what you put inside your body. Your core temperature can plummet even if you're wrapped in 3 blankets, and that's where a thermal insulated bottle becomes less about convenience and more about survival. For generations, people understood this. Long before smart mugs or electric kettles, families heated water, poured it into heavy steel thermoses, and carried it through bitter nights. That one act provided hours of steady warmth. Something to sip, something to hold close, even something to sleep beside. Today's insulated bottles refine that old wisdom. Double-walled, vacuum-sealed stainless steel designs can keep liquid steaming for up to 12 hours. Pour boiling water at night, and in the morning, it's still hot enough to drink. But the brilliance goes beyond hot tea or coffee. That same bottle protects against freezing, keeping broth, soup, or even plain water from turning to ice. In a storm, when melting snow might be your only water source, a thermal bottle can prevent it from refreezing before you drink. And because it's durable and portable, it belongs not just in your pantry but in your car, your go bag, even beside your bed. The invisible danger here is subtle. Cold drains you quietly, hands stiffen, dehydration sneaks up, clarity fades. You don't always notice until your body has already slowed down. A hot drink reverses that spiral almost instantly. It restores circulation, sharpens the mind, and signals your core that it's safe. In shelters and emergency responses, warm liquids are often the first form of aid distributed, and for good reason. So while a thermal bottle might look like a trendy accessory in normal times, in a blackout it becomes a thermal battery for your body. It holds the heat you can't generate yourself and releases it sip by sip. One small bottle of boiling water at night can mean the difference between shivering restlessly and waking with strength to face another day. 1. Heat you wear. When the furnace dies and the temperature plummets, your body doesn't betray you at the fingers or toes first. It falters at the core. Just a 2-degree drop in internal temperature can send your entire system into a downward spiral. That's why wearable heat sources, simple, disposable body warmers, are more than comfort items. They're armor. These compact packets, activated by air or friction, can be slipped into gloves, socks, or stuck directly to your torso. Modern versions last anywhere from 6 to 18 hours, delivering a steady, controlled glow of warmth where it matters most. They're light enough to carry by the dozen, cheap enough to stockpile, and powerful enough to stop the silent creep of hypothermia. The genius is in their versatility. Place one against your chest and it helps protect vital organs. Slip them into boots and circulation stays steady in your extremities. Tuck a few inside sleeping bags and suddenly an unheated room feels survivable. In mass shelters during historic freezes, families who had body warmers reported fewer hypothermia cases and more restful nights than those relying on blankets alone. The danger of cold exposure is that it disguises itself as inconvenience until it's too late. A shiver becomes numbness, numbness becomes confusion, and soon you can't think clearly enough to save yourself. Body warmers interrupt that slide. They buy you hours of stability when the house is collapsing into silence and frost. And here's what makes them remarkable. They don't need charging, fuel, or even preparation. Unlike stoves or heaters, they can be tucked in a drawer for years, ready at a moment's notice. In that sense, they're the ultimate equalizer. Affordable, practical, and instantly effective. When the storm is raging and the power grid is gone, survival boils down to this. Keep your core warm, keep your mind sharp, and keep your body functioning. Body warmers may look small, but in the darkest, coldest hours, they carry the heat of survival right against your skin. When the coldest nights arrive, survival doesn't come down to luck. It comes down to preparation. FEMA's recommendations aren't flashy, they're practical. A simple stove that works without electricity, a bottle that locks in heat for hours, body warmers that keep your core steady. These aren't luxury items, they're lifelines. Too often, people wait until the power fails or the shelves are empty before realizing how fragile comfort really is. By then, it's already too late. The truth is, winter storms and grid failures aren't what-ifs anymore. They're patterns repeating across the country. But those who plan ahead, who keep the right tools close, find that they can turn a crisis into an inconvenience, not a disaster. That's the power of being ready. So as this winter closes in, ask yourself, when the lights go out, will you be reaching for the tools that keep you safe? Or wishing you had them?